Hola. So, I don't know. Is this the last day on YouTube? It's really weird. I look at a lot of stuff from Sweden and Russia and France, South America. I mean, so anybody that's not commercially viable will be gone. Isn't that just going to make YouTube like a new version of CBC? Shit we don't want to watch already, which is why we're on YouTube. I don't know. It all seems kind of nuts to me. I understand that somebody has to store all this film and information, but well, a lot of people are hacking on BitChute. I found them. I know they're kind of like a Sega video game bit, but maybe YouTube's doing everybody a favor by to outfits like BitChute, so people will have no choice but to go get another platform, and basically that might surge them up so that they can afford to have a decent platform offer for everybody and get them advanced. So I think YouTube might be shooting itself in the foot. But this might be my last day. I don't know. I don't even know if this will go up. So I did wish to show this. Okay. So basically I'm always going on about lawful excuse. Absolutely. Guaranteed. It's my right. I have a lawful excuse. There are many reasons for a lawful excuse. Speeding. I think I talked about that. It could have been one of the videos I didn't upload, but you got an emergency in the hospital. What we used to do on this land is we'd hang something red from our windows and give her to get to the hospital in a safe manner, but exceeding speed limits and stuff. You're sitting at a red light, and there's a truck, you notice a truck not slowing down coming in behind you. There's no cars coming, but it's a red light. So is your lawful excuse to go through the red light so to avoid getting killed by this truck that's not stopping, that might have lost its brakes, who knows, that's coming in, barreling in on you in your shitty little plastic car, your Kia. So, so you boot through the red light. And people worry about stuff like that. Like, folks are just pretty much brainwashed. And as Canadians, people of this up here of this land, like we've always had this thing, the old stock Canadians, where we're creating public laws and rules for everyone so everyone is safe and as safe as, you can't put everybody in a fucking cage, which is what they look like they're doing now. But we're basically, in general, Canadians are a law-abiding society and believe in the rule of law and believe in the foundation of our inalienable and God-given rights that are endowed to us. It's something that we've walked on for, ever, generations and generations, since we left Europe. It's something that's always been recognized, just not put in written form. And when they came out with these documents, the Bill of Rights, 1960, I believe I have it right this time. The Diefenbaker Bill of Rights, that only made legislation, it didn't receive royal assent. I was at the courthouse doing a file the other day, and there's the charter, framed up on the wall, collecting dust. And there's a Bill of Rights beside it, and it's like, I don't know any court that honors that Bill of Rights. I've never seen it. So I just wish to do this notice, and this is basically a notice of lawful excuse. So of course, like I say, it's to Bob, care of whatever agency, ministry, government arm, body, and from, the man over here, Al. And so, now this is just one general way to do a notice. I mean, you can just plaster notice and go from there and just send it to whoever. But what I like to do is, because my fellow man that acts as my public servant, I wish to be man to man all the time. Just stay man to man. I see no benefit in being a constituent, a citizen, to be seen as a statutory creature. Okay? If I do see a benefit to be seen as a statutory creature, then I'll let them know. But other than that, no. I mean, what's the big deal here? You're a man, I'm a man. Yeah. And the establishment itself, and those that work in the establishment, they don't like recognizing man, because man has a standing. Man doesn't just maintain a position. Man has standing, and man is fluid. So there has to be a real wrong for somebody like the top cop, the Attorney General, to actually interfere with the rights of man. Okay, mankind. And this is funny. Everybody's bringing himself to some kind of stupid title or acronym. Like those of the LGBTQ community, you're all of mankind, unless you're aliens from Mars. I don't know. Maybe you are. I've seen some weird YouTube videos that are probably going to come down on aliens living under the Antarctic and stuff. I don't know. I don't know that it's not true. I mean, what did they do? What did they want to do to the guy that said the world was round? Burn him at the stake? I mean, if we look at our history, the history of man, like anybody that comes against the establishment or doesn't agree with the establishment, let's say global warming, fanatics, religious fanatics that harm other folks. Like there's that who's that guy with the funky beard there? What do they do? Rape and violate a bunch of kids, and there's a court order not to report on it. Like, where the fuck does that come? And how does that come? Like, I don't get this, and I think we as mankind here need to ask the establishment what's going on. And this is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people think letters are lame, but they're not, and they're power. Okay, they are the sword, just without the S. These letters that we use, these symbols, they're symbols, all right, and they're magic, and they can create fear. They can lift people up or bring people down, but only if the man or woman that does read these things believes what they read. Like if I sent you a document saying, "Hey man, I'm trying to think of something to say on YouTube that's not going to get me in all kinds of trouble. But say I sent you a threatening letter, all right? But I sent it in Mandarin, all right? Or I sent it in Nipponese or Japanese. I mean, you'd look at it and you wouldn't think, "Oh, what the fuck is this? Roll up in the ball and throw it in the fireplace." You wouldn't give a shit. And so this is what the legal society does to everybody. And because their symbols, their language, okay, is in terms, not words, and their symbols have their own meaning, which is why they have their own dictionary. I think I was telling you guys before that Black's Law's dictionary wasn't a man named Black. Okay, Black's Law came out as the law on how to treat your slave. That's why it was called Black's Law. So if you take that concept of a man who writes a legal dictionary on the you know, the responsibilities and duties of a slaver, of a man who owns slaves, and here's legally how you have to treat them, right? Because we're not savages, so of course, you know, there has to be a legal process on how you treat them. Well, they're using the same legal dictionary on citizens, on perps, on defendants, you know, and those other persons. So that Black's Law is used on persons as a mainstream. And like I say, our courthouses, you know, our public buildings that were built for us to hold court have been taken over by the legal society, to where those of mankind are being refused to enter. I mean, it's like a pornographic Tim Hortons going into some of these places. You know, you got to take all your clothes off before you can get in. Meanwhile, these persons of title are walking through a side door, and what the hell's with that? You know, they're the servants. They're a society. They're the ones who owe the duty and obligation responsibility. And yet, the public are the ones that ultimately have the right to enter that public building. They're not of the public. They're of the legal society. So, you know, this is you know, it's backwards. It's upside down. It's fucked up. Now, if there's an issue that we need all of a sudden, okay, we never did before, but now all of a sudden we need all this security. All of a sudden we have to have laws there that the public loses the right, or no, it's not the public. Drivers lose the right to be let alone going from point A to point B unless there's an absolute reason. Now they don't have to have a frickin' reason. Now you can just be stopped, and you can be arbitrarily stopped and arbitrarily searched. Like, this is crazy, guys. Now, if all this is going on, are we just getting used to this as the norm? This is not the norm on this land. Something has gone awry. And instead of our public servants figuring out where they screwed up and allowed, you know, this kind of temperament to take place within their society, that now, you know, we're living under threat. We're living under threat of our public service. We're living under threat of agencies and corporations. We're living under threat of terrorism. Why? What was the root cause, and how do we get back to getting rid of it? Well, it's the dismantling of our society. This is what I believe. Right? These folks have dismantled our society. Canada's gone. Okay, so if you think you're going to save Canada, it's gone. The only way we can come together as a society of mankind is to get the frickin' Constitution written. We need to go from town hall to town hall to town hall to town. Go to every small town in rural prairies and start holding meetings, and let's get a Constitution built. You know, something built, and then force, okay, those overpaid legal persons. Most of those guys, premiers and people that operate in government, are all legal persons. They're all fucking lawyers. And so we need to force them, force their hand, saying, this is what people want. You sign this into law. That's our wish. We wish and we require this signed into law. So anyways, what I want to do, oh yeah, right, I just remembered my 30-minute limit. Okay, so this is a notice. All right, so it's, hi Bob's greeting. I believe you are the man who acts as attorneys general. Now, if I'm sending something to the attorneys general, what I do is I'll send one to the Fed and one to the province. Now, if you wish, if you're somebody who has to go, you know, travel a lot, go from point A to point B, you know, anywhere coast to coast or interprovincially, then I should say interjurisdictionally, because there are no metes and bounds of any of the provinces up here. So then you would send one to every attorneys general. And at the end of it, you know, just you can you see down here? Okay, so down here, you just put who you CC'd it to, okay? So I've had stuff coming and going and flying all over the place in the past. And it's not, okay, it's not to puke out my hatred, righteous indignation, and calling everybody traitors. That's not the intent. The intent is to act as a gentleman, to stand as mankind, to convey what I know and what I believe to be true for those of us on this common law land. It's as simple as that. So we got Bob. Here we go. I'll start scribbling all over this now. So we got, hi Bob's greeting, you know. There we go, we got the guy with his head on. I believe you are. And now you put a court document with a small I like this, and all of a sudden they're gonna label you, they're gonna give you all kinds of fucking labels. Just to attack. But I stick to my guns, this is what I believe, this is what I do. If that man or woman in the black robe does wish to presume or assume, because I prefer they assume, because I am not talking to a judge, I'm not talking to a justice, I'm not talking to a magistrate. What I'm talking to is my fellow man, okay? The clothing or the titles that you hold are fine, that's great, that's wonderful, that's beautiful, but the thing is, you're talking to a man, right? And I stand as a man, I look like a man, I act like a man, I smell like a man, therefore I must be man, right? Simple. So I believe, and I put in capitals, because Bob is acting as the AG. Okay? Bob is acting as the AG. So this is my joiner right here. Okay? You, Bob. Right? Bob's a U. Al is an I. Alright? Al is a one. Singular. The one. We all come from the one. The one big bang. The one creator of something. The one Mother Earth. Doesn't matter what your frickin' belief is. We all stem from the one somewhere. The one tadpole swimming in the sea. Then I was a monkey swinging in a tree. Now I'm a professor with a PhD. Right? Whichever your belief is, it all stems from the one. All right. This is my belief. If you don't like it, well, sorry about your luck. All right. So you, AG. Now acts. Okay, I got that in capitals, so he knows I know he's an actor, and I also do this because that's exactly what's going on. Anyone who holds a title, anyone who fulfills an office as an officer is an actor within the mandate of that office. And this guy, whoever he is, or she is, swore an oath to uphold that office. All right, swore an oath to our chief public servant, that sweet little old lady over there across the pond, swore an oath to her. Okay, she swore an oath to I. All right, that's how our situation works over here in the Great White North. So it acts as attorneys general. Now, attorneys general has no rights. Okay, it's man's creation. It has duties and obligations, responsibilities. It has to follow ordinances, policies. Okay, and in return for this, Bob, who acts as attorneys general, receives benefits. Makes sense. Now you step out of that office, or you abuse that office. If you abuse that office, you lose your benefits. You abuse that office, you know, and to abuse is to take something and pretty much redesign it so you can't see its original form. You wouldn't know what its original form is. You know, like wine. wine is created from abused grapes. Okay, so anyways, attorneys general, now notice, lawful excuse, semicolon. Any property of I registered, and I got the ED in brackets because I don't wish to put it in past tense, I wish to keep it in present tense, but the ED is there, it's not there, but it's there, just so, because it's the four corner rule, okay, so it's not part of the document, but it's there for explanatory reasons, right? So any property of I registered with any government agency, ministry, or corporate body is for the sole protection of property, and not to be presumed, and there again I got the D squared off, as forfeit in part or whole by right and right of I. Now I use right and right of I because I have customs, okay? I have customs. I have religious customs, like riding my hog. No, not hillbilly style riding a hog in the pen. You know, hey you, what is it? Hey McLeod, get off of my you. No, but I mean that's basically my religion. Is motorcycles has been my religion all my life, right? So. You know, I practiced it continually, and if I don't practice it, yeah, life is not so good, right? So it messes with my mind, my will, and my emotions, and with my soul, my spirit, and my body. Hey, anyways, so is for the sole protection of property. And if you're wondering why I put the comma and I went is and then is, just investigate the word is, because is. For the sole protection of property and not to be presumed as forfeit in part or whole by right and right of I. If there is a law that outlaws said right or right of mankind, you in capitals again. I put mankind, I put a capital on the M for mankind, and I like to put the capital whenever I write man or mankind on the M because it shows that like every man, all mankind, has some kind of duty and responsibility and obligation to someone. I mean, even if you have absolutely no friends, and you live on top of the mountain and a stranger comes by, you have a duty and obligation and responsibility just by nature itself not to cause harm to that man. Right? So, unless of course you're amoral and don't know any fucking better. But anyways, if there is a law that outlaws said right or right of mankind, you may petition this notice in written form within 7 days, 7 days herein. So, or update herein. So, and my date's down here, bottom right. That's where my period goes, the end of my document. Otherwise, we have an agreement of the parties. Now that's pretty much a tacit agreement. I mean, in a tacit agreement, I don't even have to put otherwise we have an agreement of the parties. I can just say, hey man, get back to me in 7 days. And if you don't, I would send the letter again, say, hey, I sent you this, and you didn't respond, right? So obviously, I don't know if you're sick or whatever, here's another copy. And then you can send them, some people call it notice of fault or default and whatever, but I can send them something, okay, obviously we have an agreement of the parties, we're not sending them shit at all, or send them something. Because that way then you have, because these guys all work on paper, they're all two-dimensional offices, it's the second dimension that we are going down to, right? And actually, here's the thing, when we're going down to the second dimension, we're doing it through somebody who's qualified to operate in the second dimension. So here's what I mean. And I'll give you a couple examples. Like one is Bob is qualified, all right, to act as the AG, okay, to act as Attorneys General, all right. So Bob's qualified. So I am sending this document to Bob, and that therefore Bob can Bob kind of legalizes it because he's the one licensed. He's the one with the mandate to operate in that second dimension. So there you go, Bob. So it's man to man. It's his personal liability that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing man to man. I'm not dealing with it, and with the agency itself. And so there we go. And now Bob can input it in his files. Bob gets to act in the second dimension. I'm not licensed. I'm not qualified. I wasn't voted in. I wasn't appointed. I may have certain benefits to act as a legal person within the corporate body politic, but that is my wish, and to do so or not do so as I see benefit or harm. As simple as that. This is the way our whole structure operates on this land, and yeah, like people got to clue in before it gets too ugly around here. So, the other example is, okay, so you're at court, right? And you got this man or woman in black robe. You got this man or woman who acts as a crown prosecutor, some kind of legal person over here. Now, he's talking in terms, but the man or woman in the black robe, they are the ones qualified to interpret from legal to lawful, from the second dimension to the third dimension. All right. So whenever I talk to a man in the black robe or a woman in the black robe, you know, I always put my questions to the man or woman that is moving the court at the time, because the man or woman in the black robe, they're not there to argue with you. There's no sense to argue with them. But you know, you wish to argue with the one moving the court. Okay, they have a duty and responsibility and obligation to keep the court decorum. All right, and so the court decorum belongs to whoever is moving the court. Now, if there's a second dimension coming against the third dimension, and that this man or woman who acts within the second dimension presumes you to be part, you know, holding some office or whatever when you didn't wish to, that was his presumption or his assumption, depending on how this man or woman does wish to benefit with you with whatever attack they are making on the court, within the court. You know, so if I see something as harm, if I have caused no harm, loss, or injury to my fellow man, then there's no reason for me to be there, unless I was acting as the presumed person at the time, right? So get back to this, okay? So, you know, hi Bob, greetings. I believe you are the man who acts as Attorneys General. Notice, lawful excuse. Any property of I registered with any government agency, ministry, or corporate body is for the sole protection of property, and not to be presumed as forfeit in part or whole by right and right of I. If there is a law that outlaws said right or right of mankind, you may petition this notice. I love this. Now, that's 3 syllables. Okay, you got P's and you got tits and you got ons. Yeah, to pee tit on. To pee tit on. Anyways, you know, if a man or woman can find a shorter version, get it down 2 syllables, get it down to 1 syllable, get it down to its closest root. The bigger the word, the weaker the word, and this is where the legal society is trained, or those persons within the legal society are trained to attack. Okay, attorney, to turn things around, right? So, yeah, so you may petition this notice in written form. Now, I forgot my R. Okay, in written form. Now, there's a difference between written and written. Okay, written. Check it out. the 1T